This is Alex Eala's moment with our dinners. Our evenings are fixated when she's playing. That's real.
Alex Eala walked off Wimbledon center court in tears just 3 days ago, and instead of going home to process it, she got on a plane. Waiting for her in Washington, D.C. is one of the deepest, toughest fields the D.C. Open has assembled in years. 7 top 20 players, a rival with revenge on her mind, and a question the entire tennis world is quietly asking: can a 21-year-old really peak on grass and then peak again on hard courts just 3 weeks later? Last year, the answer nearly broke her. This year, she spent months proving the answer can change. Alex Eala has arrived in Washington, D.C. for the $1.06 million WTA 500 DC Open, and the atmosphere outside the William H. G. Fitzgerald Tennis Center already feels different. The air is filled with excitement as fans gather along the fences waving red, white, and blue flags. Not American flags, but the Philippine flag, with its 3 stars and sun. Just 72 hours after walking off center court at Wimbledon in tears following her defeat to Jasmine Paolini, Eala didn't head home. Instead, she boarded a plane and turned her focus to the next challenge. Waiting for her on July 27th is one of the strongest and deepest fields the DC Open has assembled in years. If you've been following Alex Eala's journey from her breakthrough run in Miami to her performances in Madrid and Berlin, you already know this is the place where passionate Filipino tennis fans come together to follow every step of her rise. Subscribe and join our community as we break down why her arrival in Washington could be one of the biggest moments of her season. Rewind just 4 days to July 6th at Wimbledon. In the round of 16, Eala fell to Jasmine Paolini in a hard-fought match, but her historic run carried her farther than any Filipina has ever reached in a Grand Slam singles event during the Open era. As she walked off center court, the crowd rose to its feet in a standing ovation, a moment captured just how much respect she'd earned throughout the tournament. The next day, July 7th, Eala posted a simple one-word caption on Instagram: everything. It summed up an unforgettable Wimbledon campaign, but there was no time to dwell on it. By Wednesday, she'd already arrived in Washington, D.C., ready for another major test. The field waiting for her doesn't feel like a typical WTA 500 tournament. It looks more like a WTA 1000 event, wearing a smaller label. According to the WTA's July 3rd player entry list, 7 of the world's top 20 are expected to compete. Among them is Elena Svitolina, the same player Eala beat convincingly in Berlin just 3 weeks ago, a result that could add extra motivation if they meet again. Also in the draw, Marta Kostyuk, a former DC finalist, Naomi Osaka, the 2-time U.S. Open champion continuing her comeback, Venus Williams, still one of the sport's biggest attractions, and defending champion Leylah Fernandez, who lifted this very trophy in 2025. Then there's the question of timing. 12 months ago, Eala's summer schedule caught up with her as the physical demands of back-to-back tournaments took their toll heading into Cincinnati. The tennis world remembers how difficult that stretch became, which makes this turnaround from Wimbledon to Washington another real test of her endurance, recovery, and growing maturity on tour. The question everyone's quietly asking: can a 21-year-old peak on grass and then peak again on North American hard courts just 3 weeks later? History says no. But throughout 2026, Alex Eala has made a habit of rewriting what history says is possible. Start with the stakes. The Washington tournament carries a prize pool of more than $1 million, with a total tournament commitment exceeding $1.06 million. For a player who was ranked outside the world's top 140 just a year ago, this isn't just another payday. It's a career-defining opportunity. And she didn't slip into the draw through a shortcut. She earned every bit of it. The WTA confirmed Eala as one of the direct main draw entrants for the DC Open. No wild card, no special invitation, no handout. Her world ranking, boosted by a breakthrough season and a historic Wimbledon run, secured her place among the tournament's elite. While some early reports suggested she'd received a wild card, the WTA's official entry list made clear she earned her spot. Now consider how she got here. Take a breath and look at what she accomplished in June alone. On June 17th in Berlin, Eala stunned former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina in straight sets. 1 day later, she returned to the court and defeated Elena Svitolina, a Grand Slam champion and multiple-time major semi-finalist. Back-to-back wins over 2 of the biggest names in women's tennis, both on grass, their preferred surface, announced to the tennis world that Eala was no longer an underdog. She was becoming a genuine contender. Then came July 4th at Wimbledon. In the round of 32, Eala stood across the net from defending champion Iga Swiatek. What followed was the biggest win of her career. Eala prevailed in straight sets, 7-6, 6-2, earning her second career victory over Swiatek. You don't beat a defending champion at Wimbledon by accident. You do it because you belong on that stage. After the match, Eala walked to the microphone and delivered a message that quickly spread across Filipino social media. The court is not the place to belittle yourself. That wasn't just another post-match quote. It reflected a mindset she and her coaching team had been building for months, a complete shift toward believing she belongs among the very best in the world. Look at the pattern that's followed her throughout 2026. There was the viral airport welcome after Madrid, another emotional reception following Paris, and the scenes from Bad Homburg that spread across Filipino social media as supporters rallied behind her. By the time Wimbledon arrived, the momentum was impossible to ignore. International media even highlighted the remarkable presence of Filipino fans throughout the tournament, turning nearly every match into a home atmosphere despite being thousands of miles from the Philippines. Now the tour moves to Washington, D.C., and this isn't an exception to that trend. It's the next chapter. The DMV region is home to one of the largest Filipino-American communities in the United States, making the D.C. Open another chance for Eala to draw overwhelming support from the stands. If her recent tournaments are any indication, the fences outside the Fitzgerald Tennis Center will once again be lined with fans eager to catch a glimpse of the rising star. For every Filipino fan who's spent the past 2 years telling friends and coworkers to remember the name Alex Eala, that moment has arrived. The world isn't catching up anymore. The world is already here. There's a reason all of this seems to be happening at once, and it starts with one name: Tony Nadal. Best known as the longtime coach of Rafael Nadal, Tony helped shape one of the greatest careers in tennis history and built the foundation for a player who went on to win 22 Grand Slam singles titles. Today, he's a leading figure at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, where Alex has trained since she was 13. In 2026, according to reports from Tennis 365 and comments from head coach Juan Bosch, Tony has taken a far more hands-on role in Eala's development, mentoring her personally as she continues her rise on tour. Eala herself has spoken openly about that relationship. In an interview with Tennis 365 earlier this year, she explained that Tony told her things she didn't always want to hear, but needed to hear. She also revealed he's repeatedly expressed confidence in both her game and her personality, believing she has the potential to compete at the highest level. Those aren't empty compliments from a legend offering encouragement in passing. They reflect a respected coach investing his time and experience in a player he believes can achieve something special. Reports have also suggested Rafael Nadal has shared tactical advice with Eala through her coaching team, adding another layer of support as she develops on tour. Respected figures in tennis invest their time and belief in a young player. Expectations naturally rise. Washington now becomes the first hardcourt test of everything Alex Eala has built throughout an unforgettable 2026 season. And this tournament is only the beginning. Waiting just beyond it are the National Bank Open in Montreal, the Cincinnati Open, and then the U.S. Open in New York starting in late August. This isn't simply one event on the calendar. It's the opening stretch of a crucial North American hardcourt swing that could propel Eala to new career milestones. A strong run over the next several weeks could bring her even closer to breaking into the WTA's top 20, a historic achievement for Philippine tennis. There's also another reason Washington feels like the perfect place to begin that journey. The city is home to a vibrant Filipino-American community, and the tournament gives Eala another chance to compete in front of passionate supporters far from home. Every practice session, every match, every appearance will carry added significance as fans rally behind one of the brightest young stars in the sport. At just 21, Eala is no longer representing only herself. She's in the hopes of a new generation of Filipino tennis fans while helping introduce the sport to a growing audience across Southeast Asia. As women's tennis continues expanding its global reach, Alex Eala is becoming one of the faces driving that momentum. The WTA Tour keeps growing, with prize money increasing across many events as the sport attracts larger audiences and greater commercial interest. The DC Open is part of that momentum, offering players another major chance to compete for significant ranking points and prize money. Rising stars like Eala are helping expand women's tennis into new markets, bringing fresh audiences to the sport wherever they compete. Every packed practice court, every line of fans outside the venue, every Philippine flag waving in the stands reflects the growing reach of her journey. The stakes in Washington are enormous. A deep run could push Eala even higher in the rankings before the North American hardcourt swing continues in Montreal, while a title would represent the biggest championship of her career to date and further establish her among the sport's rising stars. But there's one reason the story isn't being written as a coronation. Her most recent match ended in heartbreak. On center court at Wimbledon against Jasmine Paolini, Eala battled through 3 demanding sets on the biggest stage of her career. She showed the fearless tennis that had carried her through a historic run, but in the end, she came up just short. For many young players, a defeat like that can linger for days or even weeks. Some step away from the tour to regroup. Others struggle to regain momentum. Alex Eala chose a different response. Shortly after Wimbledon, she shared a simple message on social media. Everything. Salamat. Wimbledon. Thank you for everything. There was no frustration, no excuses, no self-pity, just gratitude, perspective, and a clear sign she was already looking ahead. Washington isn't the end of her story. It's the beginning of the next chapter. Less than 48 hours after the emotional end of her Wimbledon campaign, Alex Eala was already on a flight to Washington. There was no extended break, no time to dwell on what might have been, no lengthy explanation about her mindset. She'd already made her statement, not through words, but through action. The disappointment of leaving center court was quickly replaced by the determination to prepare for the next opportunity. For a player still only 21, that kind of resilience says more than any press conference ever could. Take a step back and look at everything that's happened over the last month. In Berlin, Eala delivered one of the most memorable performances of her career, defeating Elena Rybakina in straight sets before returning the very next day to beat Elena Svitolina, another established star of the tour. Those wins weren't lucky breaks or one-off upsets. They showed she could compete with and beat some of the biggest names in women's tennis under pressure. Those victories immediately changed the way players, coaches, and fans viewed her. She was no longer just a promising prospect. She was becoming a legitimate threat every time she stepped onto the court. Then came Wimbledon, where her confidence kept growing. Match after match, she showed remarkable composure on the biggest stage in tennis, earning the respect of crowds, commentators, and fellow professionals. One of the most emotional moments came after her win in Berlin, when she shared a heartfelt phone call with her father, a moment she didn't try to hide because it reflected just how much the journey meant to her and her family. At Wimbledon, she walked off center court to a standing ovation, recognized not just for the results she achieved, but for the fearless tennis she played throughout the tournament. It was the kind of applause reserved for players who leave everything on the court. When the tournament ended, she didn't post a long emotional message. She shared one word: everything, followed by a heartfelt thank you to Wimbledon, a message that resonated with fans who'd followed every point of her remarkable run. Sometimes a single word says more than 1,000. For many supporters, that post captured her gratitude, humility, and determination to keep moving forward. Now the scene shifts to Washington, D.C., where another major challenge awaits. She enters one of the deepest WTA 500 fields of the season, not as a wild card, not through a special invitation, not because of anyone's generosity. She earned her place through her ranking and her performances on the court. Every match she won, every ranking point she collected, every breakthrough she achieved brought her to this moment. That may be the biggest difference between the Alex Eala arriving in Washington today and the young player who arrived in Miami as a qualifier 18 months ago. Back then, she was trying to prove she belonged on tour. Today, she arrives with wins over elite opponents, a historic Grand Slam run behind her, growing confidence in her game, and the belief she can challenge anyone in the draw. Expectations have changed. Opponents now prepare for her differently. Fans expect her to compete deep into tournaments. The tennis world isn't asking who Alex Eala is anymore. It's asking how far she can go. Washington is more than just another stop on the calendar. It's the beginning of the North American hardcourt swing, a stretch that could shape the rest of her season and determine just how high she can climb before the year's biggest tournaments. For Alex Eala, this isn't simply about recovering from Wimbledon. It's about building on everything she's accomplished and proving that her breakthrough was only the beginning. The next chapter starts now, and once again the tennis world will be watching. Alex Eala now arrives at one of the most important stretches of her career, carrying far greater expectations than ever before. She's a player who has earned the confidence of one of tennis's most respected coaching minds, Tony Nadal. She's a player who has proven she can challenge and defeat some of the biggest names in the sport on the game's grandest stages. And she's a player whose rise has inspired thousands of Filipino fans around the world, many of whom have been waiting for the chance to watch her compete in Washington, D.C. during this North American swing. But now comes the question everyone's asking. Can she carry the momentum of her historic grass season onto the hard courts? Will she continue her remarkable rise with another deep run in Washington? Or will the physical and emotional toll of Wimbledon finally catch up with her against one of the tournament's top seeds? That's the challenge that makes this week so fascinating. Every match, every point, every decision could shape the next chapter of her season. Now it's your turn. What do you think happens in Washington? Does Alex Eala have what it takes to reach the semifinals? Or maybe even go all the way? Or do you think the quick turnaround from Wimbledon will make this one of her toughest tests yet? Drop your prediction in the comments below and let us know which first round draw you'd like to see for her.